most of the people probably in the chat understand. But there's still a few that come through the cracks. That we're not going to change the nation or the world at the high level and have it trickle down, right?
No.
Top down government has never served the people. As a matter of fact, I want to show that on your website. I want to talk about some of your 5 points on your website. Not everybody knows who you are, so tell them what you're doing to make a difference.
Well, obviously I'm, Dave Jr., Dave Sr.'s oldest son. So I decided to run here in Maryland. We have a county council, 5-member board here in Dorchester County, Maryland. And I decided to run as an independent for county council in 2022. So next year, November, is the election.
Wait a minute. An independent? you wait a minute. You're not going to go as Republican or Democrat?
No. Then you have no ties.
Then you have no ties?
Yeah.
So why? What has been your experience? And we want to be careful. We don't disparage anyone, but why wouldn't you want to have the money and the wisdom of an R or a D next to your name?
Because in my opinion, if you have that, then there's certain things you'll be expected to be tied to.
Okay.
Some of them might be good. Some of them might not be what the residents of the county you live in want.
Right.
We currently have a Republican governor in this state, and that person has not represented the people's wants and opinions well at all. He has. No.
Right. What do you suppose he's really represented?
The special interest that gave him the money.
Yeah. It always comes down to that, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it always does.
Yeah.
So it is an uphill battle doing it this way because obviously you're not known as well and you don't have the money backing or the support of the institution. But that's okay. Seems like residents that I've met really support it, but I guess we'll find out in about a year.
That's right. And so some of your key points, the reason I'm showing this is there are going to be some people that are, when I say young people, anybody who's under 40, in my opinion, is young. That's what happens when you get this white hair. So these are the 5 key points that you would come up with, and so you want to speak to some of these? You know them. I'm going to make it bigger so we can see it on the screen. So why these 5 key points?
Well, I start with individualism because obviously, as everybody on this chat probably knows, that we're going to a collectivism mentality. They say, well, in the name of safety or what's good for all is good for you. It's a very slippery slope. Obviously, everybody here probably knows that. We're seeing the outcomes of that. And for example, like in the state of New York, how you can't enter a restaurant unless you show your papers of a vaccine card. I know everybody thinks, well, that's not going to come to my hometown, but it will. Unless you get local leaders that support the individual and respect the individual and the concept of your own sovereignty as yourself.
Well, wait a minute. I want to point something out. A lot of people don't understand this, and you know it from experience as well as I do, is that, if the president says it, you have to do it in the counties, right?
Well, no, that's not the case. I mean, if anything, if I've learned anything from the COVID when it comes to government, is I would see counties do different things. Some counties declare their own state of emergencies when the state isn't. Yeah.
So even under the umbrella of the governor of the state, they can still, in the counties, do their own will in the counties, right?
Yeah, according to how it's written here, as long as it doesn't violate the state constitution. That's it.
As long as it doesn't violate the state constitution. I would suggest that even if it does violate the state constitution, they have to go through process of the legal process to come against you, just like they just did in the Supreme Court.
Right. So same process at the local level, just like at the higher levels.
That's right. Okay. So my point to make, and a lot of people don't understand this because they think that we got to focus on the president and we got to focus on the governors. And in my opinion, is that if we would correct our local governments, we could literally have sanctuary counties.
Well, if the majority of your local counties think a certain way, then the governor's going to usually go and kind of cater to what the majority wants, anyways.
Right. Okay. Good point. So you think that the governors are going to listen when entire counties stand?
Oh, well, they won't have an option not to. What are you going to do?
Exactly. All right. So practicing faith, it almost doesn't need to be explained, right?
Well, I put that on there because obviously everybody here knows what we just went through, and people just believe since they said that you couldn't, come together. That means, well, they said it, so you can't. And you really don't need a politician like myself or anybody even telling you that's okay. But sadly, it seems like that's the case, that you need to have people in there that will tell the public, hey, you don't have to listen to these tyrannical measures from the state.
Right.
You really don't need me there telling you that, but they all believe that since one person said that they had to, and then the county governments complied.
Well, okay. And we've talked about this too, is examples of that is when you show up in uniform as an EMT, everyone listens to you, right? You've said it to me before where you got a 60-plus-year-old man and you 28-year-old kid.
Right.
And you're telling this man what to do because he perceives you as an authority, right?
Well, that's why, much is given, much is required.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And so I want to go through these. So the right to defend oneself and property, you put on there.
Yeah, you got both.
Okay. So
it doesn't, and obviously everybody knows that means yes, guns, but there's more obviously than guns. That could mean you just not wanting to take some kind of jab.
Hey, thank you. So here you go. Private property rights. What are we talking about there?
Usually your wealth or like your land that you own.
Okay. So they have the right to private property. A lot of institutions, a lot of government assistance has gone out to where they're buying up people's property at a nice low rate. Have you noticed that lately?
Yeah. Because they know in our current system you have authority over it, so they take the authority away from you.
Okay. So if your name is written on that deed, you have authority over it, right?
For the most part, obviously everybody knows they've eroded that a lot with eminent domain laws and raising people's property taxes, et cetera. So it's not perfect.
But, okay, well, let me suggest this. Since there are such a thing as eminent domain laws, if we had already corrected our local governments to think like this, then we wouldn't have an issue with that now.
Yeah, because then your local jurisdiction could just say, within the borders of this county, we won't be instituting any eminent domain laws.
Again, if we correct it in our local governments,
right,
it'll be fixed, right? You've heard of Agenda 21, right?
Right. Most counties usually adopt it because they think it's the logical thing to do.
Yes, that's right. They do. Why would it be logical? Probably because they get funding.
Get a lot of funding. They make it public. You can find it.
Yes, they do make it public. Okay, and so operating businesses and conducting commerce, right?
Well, obviously everybody knows what we just want. Well, I know there's people on this chat that are probably from some states that weren't so severe, but in this state, they shut down.
What state?
Maryland.
Okay.
Everybody was forced to close and threatened with jail or fine of $5,000.
They were threatened with jail.
Yeah, nobody went to jail. Just threat.
Okay, wait a minute. You know anybody that didn't follow the quote-unquote mandates? You know people that didn't, right?
Yeah, a few businesses. Yeah, they were fined a couple $1,000s.
They were fined?
Yeah, $5,000 each time.
Wow. That's still an impactful fine.
Yep.
But they kept their doors open, right?
Yeah, some businesses made more money than they normally would because they were the only ones open. That's what they said.
Yes. One of them is a business that you frequent, right? At
right.
least one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, okay. I love this statement that I will always protect the ability for every citizen to operate their business fairly and freely and not allow the government to choose what is an essential business and what's not. In a truly free society, the people choose. It takes money for him to run in this campaign, and people have been giving. There's an opportunity if you want to just give $10, you can. You can go to dorchesterindependent.org and help out by giving a little bit of money. By all means, help out by prayer. Pray for this effort. Pray for anyone else that would. That believes that we want to see winds of change in this country. Quite frankly, understand that we're going to see these changes. We're seeing little responses, and they're glorious responses to our prayers, our refusing to bend, our standing. It's been tiring. The scripture says that the Antichrist will wear out the saints. So this isn't going to end just because we got, in our state.
This will go on for another decade or more. Who knows? I don't know.
Yes.
Just like the current military operation that just ended. It was 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. Yeah. They said the current man in charge said this was an end of an era. Okay, so what's the new one? Maybe we'll live like this. I don't know.
Well, what people don't seem to understand is that we're actually at war.
No. I don't know how a lot of people don't see it that way. They believe that if we just comply, I mean, I've heard this yesterday. If we just comply, this will soon pass and things will just return to normal. I don't know how many times people have said that. I'm like, it's not going to stop.
Right.
That should tell it to stop.
Yes. I forget where it's been said, but it is the weight of the many are carried on the backs of the few.
Yeah.
And you have seen an example of that, right? That, like I said in the beginning when you came on, is that you stood your ground and suffered some financial loss at the beginning, but now the people who mocked you. What you were? No, I was
going to say, but you'll suffer financial loss because that's all they have. That's all they. I mean, it sucks. And I know there's people in here who probably have kids and a family, and they're like, "Well, who are you? You don't have any kids. You don't know what it's like. If I lost this paycheck, I don't know what would happen." But then that's really where's your faith lie? I mean, there's always gonna be another way.
Yes.
You're not just gonna, if you look for it and you make the strides to go that direction, but. The only thing they really have is to hurt you financially. I mean, there's certain institutions, like, I don't know if some people have seen, Delta Airlines is now charging the people that won't show proof of vaccination $200 more a month. And this is mainstream media that have health care. So to make them inconvenience, they're not going to fire them. They're just going to hurt them financially. Yes. Or they're not going to give you the bonus. Or they're going to, in Maryland, they actually considered an impasse giving people property tax credits if they got it. So you would have less property taxes if you would show proof that you were compliant. It's unbelievable. And you can look that up too. Just type in the comptroller's office suggestion of a property tax credit for the bad people.
And what I find is that whenever I go to them and I try to present another idea that goes against what they've bought into, they literally refuse to hear it.
Well, there's that, yeah. I mean, they don't want to hear it. I mean, but it's just like in the Bible when it talked about Noah. I mean, they scoffed at him for 120 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It took a while. So I mean, he told them the same story for 120 years, and they just picked him. He was just crazy man. Like, and obviously, God's not going to flood the earth again, and we're not building an ark, but still kind of the same concept that people go, no, it's not going to get like that. It's not going to get that extreme.
That's right. And that's what pastors say to me. Oh, we're not there yet. We're not there. Really?
Well, maybe we're not there yet, but then why don't you just kind of stand up before it comes to your town?
Good. Exactly. Stand up before it comes to your town.
Or your state, because there's certain states where they're not having the same issues maybe as tyrannical overreach as like where I live on the East Coast. But if you're not having that issue, that's great. Then stand up now, because it will spread to every single location. Like it will.
Yep. So we got somebody here. Yes.
Yeah.
Deborah O'Connor also. She lives in Baltimore.
Hey. Okay. Yeah. They went under a state of emergency.
Yeah.
But within the county. That's the county that did it. Baltimore County.
Wow. So they proclaimed a state of emergency even without the governor inputting.
Within the county, yeah.
Yes.
But Anne Arundel County just did the same thing because they had a tornado. It's just proven a point that you're able to do. You have a lot of authority, your local government does. So you need to get good people in there that represent what the people want of that county, whatever it is. Or local jurisdiction.
So again, lastly, before you go, buddy, you have any last comments you want to make before you got to split?
Yeah, don't ever bend, and it's not over till it's over.